So, good morning and welcome to the Wednesday morning coffee chat for OpenFlip. We're in week 2, which is learning culture. I'm just going to tweet out here the link so people can watch again. Let me just retweet that and I'll quote the tweet. And we are live for OpenFlip Wednesday coffee. Great live video here by me talking to you while I'm tweeting. There we go. Okay. So I wanted to mention a few things here. So let me just bring up my toolbox. I should put on my bottom third here. It's always a good thing to do. There we go. And we need to reverse. All right, so let's do that. Oops. Bottom third is up, and then I'm going to screen share. So let me just talk a little bit about the course. It looks like Brian's coming in. I'm going to quickly screen share this. Okay. So it looks like we've got 105 people who registered for the email. Actually, one person dropped, and that's fine. If you don't want the email spam, feel free to follow the instructions on the MailChimp mailouts and drop from the mail list. What I want people to do, I've got about 23 active bloggers so far, and that's good. That's running it up well. And oops, I should turn up my volume here. What I also want to mention is that we should have people register your blog. If you haven't registered your blog, that's this link right in here. Let me open it up in a separate tab. Follow the instructions. If you're having problems setting up your blog, please let me know. I'll be happy to help you. And there's a link here that goes to a URL. I'm just going to open it in an incognito window here. So it shows you the form. Please fill out the most important thing, and I should have put it right at the top of the form, is this one. What's the address of your blog? Because once I have that, finish the submit, send any other comments. Once I have that, when you click on the all blogs link here, you'll see the post from you and everybody else as soon as I put your blog in. So we've got about 40 something blog posts so far from 23 blogs, 23 active blogs, 44 posts. And what I really like is there's 29 comments already. You should remember that if you're looking at, I can close that one. If you're looking at this week's assignment, there's the post to the chats that'll update, and it'll be showing the live one right now if you want to watch it. This is a post to the one that's going to be in the evening. This is my messages in English and Spanish for the week, the information about the assignments. But there's always space in the comments, and people can leave their questions here in the comments. So I'll stop sharing here. There's Brian. Can I hear you, Brian? Ah, you're muted, Brian. Hey, Brian.
Hey.
There you are. Good.
Yeah.
It's always weird doing a hangout by myself for the first minutes. I don't know if is this thing on?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to get my volume is way low. Oh, there we go. Try that.
Cool.
Okay, that sounds better.
Yeah, I knew you guys would both be a little bit late. I know Miguel is joining us possibly, and let me also try to send the link to Carolina, who might join us.
Oh, cool.
Carolina from Colombia.
Mm-hmm. She did the first guest post on the blog.
Yeah, and she was in our fall one, which ended up just being 2 people. Because I kind of got pressured to offer it in the fall, but mostly by Frank wanted to take it, and so I did. But it was just Frank and Carolina. The good news is they're both English as a second language or EFL teachers, so they got together and talked about things. So that was cool.
Yeah.
So even though there was only 2, it was a good group of 2.
Nice.
So how's your class going there today?
That's okay. I did a really crummy lab yesterday.
Yeah,
Didn't
I was
design
talking
it.
yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find a spoon. 1 second.
you're fine.
Good live YouTube. I need some.
Yeah.
No, I figured I'd start it up earlier and talk a little bit about people getting on, because I'm guessing there's still people that might be participating, but I don't know they are. They could be blog posting somewhere, and I don't know where their blog is. In fact, I know Leal messaged me in Twitter yesterday talking about her submission, and she answered me. Excellent. I've got a notification here. So I think she didn't register her blog through the registration form.
Yeah.
I have that with my students as well. I just detected one in one of my classes that, hey, your blog's dead. What's up? And
Yeah, it's always
a whole bunch of posts, but I didn't know where they were.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's so hard to detect some of the, like, I remember maybe a couple weeks ago now, I was like, the Flickr attribution thing wasn't working right.
Yeah.
Remember that? So I was like, man, I got to figure this out. So I finally just opened up the inspector and ran it over and over, looking for errors in the stack and the calls and stuff. And it came up that, so Chrome blocks mixed
HTTP, HTTPS.
Yeah. So he had one HTTP request and another HTTPS request, and Chrome was like, hey, Al, can't do that.
And I love it. Alan just goes, oh, great, I'll fix it.
Yeah. So it was now it works. So, but yeah, I was like turning extensions on and off and removing bookmarklets and other stuff that I use. And I was like, this is becoming a little ridiculous. Like, let's get this thing sorted out.
Definitely. And I use, what do you call it? uBlock Origin on my Chrome, so it creates all sorts of havoc.
Yeah. So the problem was, I think it was HTTPS everywhere, which forces HTTPS requests. So anyways, it's good to use, but it can break stuff.
So what are your thoughts on learning culture as you start this in the middle of
man. Yeah. So I think this, honestly, as I was thinking about chatting today, this is the hardest one, in my opinion, like by far, just because you're fighting school culture. You know what I mean? It's hard to set up a culture where people want to be not just productive, but I think where they learning, and I kind of wrote about it this morning, like in the 5 minutes before the bell. I didn't tag it with the OpenFlip stuff. I probably should. But that learning is more than just the demonstration of an idea, right? It's the sum of the experiences that you have as you're working on that idea that helps you form deeper connections. And that's really the culture that I'm trying to establish with my students. But it's hard because they're like, why can't I just take a quiz? Or is it multiple choice? No, this is because that's not learning, like you're showing me stuff that but what have you learned? Right. It's hard to get that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that in a way with what Julie's working on with her posts, and what she asked us for comments that she's going to publish later. And I'm trying to think of things that aren't going to be like the obvious what everyone else says.
Yeah.
And most of my thing that I've been thinking a lot about this learning culture and lots of questions about Flip not working is it takes time. It takes me a long time to develop that confidence with my students that this is real, this is a way of doing things, and it takes them a couple months at least.
Oh yeah.
To get into the groove. And I remember I talked about that a little bit on our Flip class chat on Monday.
Yeah, and it's more than just, so like first semester you work on establishing everything. But then after the Christmas break, I have new students. I've got kids who just forget. And then there's some who are just still fighting that, the shift from, it's not just, so culture's, encompassing and it involves everything. And I actually read a really good book with one of my grad classes called Cultures of Curriculum. And it was about how the culture of a school is more than just the curriculum you choose, and how it was actually a collection of essays and research that had been done. But one of the things they talked about specifically was that if you're trying to reculture your school, you got to make sure all the teachers are on the same page, because students have different expectations when they come to my room and then they go down the hallway and it's tests and quizzes and stuff. And I think that's really what's stymieing me a little bit. Hey, Kate. In that I'm kind of doing this learning culture thing, this culture of I want you to practice the skills of learning, and content is a portion of that. Um, and it's really hard to build because it's the only room they do it 1 hour a day for 5 days a week on a 5-day week.
Yeah.
So
The learning culture in our classroom is one issue, and then it's also, like you say, getting everyone on board and your colleagues. But then I don't know, it's kind of impossible to do, and I hate getting into the situation of, oh, I can't do it until everybody does it type of thing.
Yeah.
And in another essence, you want to get your students used to different types of learning environments, and they just got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let Kate say hello, and maybe Brian can bring up his bottom third as well in case he wants people to.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up my bottom third. It doesn't want to work.
I think it's blocking mine.
Oh well, don't worry about it.
Whatever.
Then it's science. Kate Baker, how you doing, Kate?
I'm doing all right, Ken. You're really quiet today, just so you know.
Yeah. How many days did you miss with snow days?
Only one, but then
Oh,
I missed 2 days of work because of the stomach bug.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I'm feeling much better now. That's why I couldn't be here last week.
So we're talking learning culture.
Ooh.
Brian says it's the hardest one.
I agree.
All right, next topic.
I'm done.
Out over.
I silenced Kate Baker.
Yeah. Well,
accomplished.
We just submitted grades today, and so the learning culture is all about point grubbing and grade grubbing and will you round me up to an A? And like the learning has gone out the window because they just want to know like their symbolic measure of learning. Yeah.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows. Yeah, it's my my low key, right?
You know.
It ebbs and flows. I think that's right. The end of the quarter, so it'd be in the middle of the grading semester, and everything's going great, and labs are running well, and students are working together well, and they're getting the big picture, and they're really diving in. And then the minute the progress report comes up or report cards come up, then it's like, hang on, Mr. Bennett, why do I have a C?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so it gets into that culture. You might be doing stuff, but you still have to demonstrate your learning to me. Grades are a part of it. It's not the only component of it. And so finding that balance between the two is really difficult. And when you're doing something like standards-based grading like I do, it makes it even harder because like I turned in all my papers, right, but you haven't shown me you learned anything. Yeah, papers are a component of that, but I need that demonstration of understanding.
Yes. Yeah, and that's too, like the understanding of how does the parts add up to a whole. Like, they come running to me at the end of the marking period, of course, saying, oh, well, what can I do for extra credit? And it's like, well, no. Like, do you understand your grade's cumulative? So it's not just like one little assignment right now or one little extra credit thing is going to make or break your grade. Like, this is the measure of something over the course of time. So where was the consistency? Where was the work ethic throughout the entire time? Not just, right now, give me something because this is what I want, that immediate gratification.
And there's the difference between learning and grades. I mean, we want to talk about learning culture, not grading culture and marks culture. I'm looking forward to this experiment I'm doing where there's no grading. And so
that would be sweet.
I've got the utmost flexibility that I can do anything I want when my class is really here. Thank you, Monterey. And then I've got support. And my students are getting it. They're actually doing lots of work. But next week is our exam. So my exam, I've already published to them what the exam is. And the exam is show me that you understand this list of mastery topics. And that's question 1. On paper, write me poems, cartoons, whatever you can do. And I don't care, it's coding. And then question 2 is what is your grade for this partial period? And justify why based on all your evidence you've shown on your blog and helping people in class and blah, blah. So I have no idea what's going to happen. And
is this your intro class?
It's intro in my other class too. It's like a second class on object-oriented programming.
Okay.
And what I told them last week, I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work. And I said, well, I expect you to have got up to this point, which I call WSQ08, but Crystal will kill me because I've abused the term now. My students use it all the time, so I can't go away. But I said, if you get up to this point, number 8, that's an expected point. That's like about an 80%. whatever the number means, because there's cultures at each school. That's like an expected point, and you're somewhere here. If you want to get up towards 100, you got to do more. You got to do extra, and just doing the expected isn't 100%.
Correct.
So we're gonna see. I don't know. I got a bunch of pending blog posts. Maybe I should actually write a blog once in a while, like every few months, about these topics. So I'm looking forward to see if I'm increasing a learning culture because I'm removing the grades.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear like how your students respond differently. You know, if there's something in there, like in your course evaluation, it would be kind of like the lowest common denominator of that, you know, in terms of how they would evaluate their own learning. Because right now, even in a standards-based system, even in a system where there's flexibility in how they demonstrate what they do, like I still give tests and quizzes, but you know, beyond that, they can always show me however they want, but it's still working for the grade. If that variable is removed, how does their understanding of science improve or fall apart? You know, how does the culture? Yeah, so what is the culture? How does the culture shift? Because high schools are a grade culture, you know. Yeah, unfortunately.
And in university as well. So I mean, I still have to give them that number, and I'm pulling all this from Joe Bauer, who just passed away last month in Alberta, and I thank Dean as well for linking to Joe's page, because I hadn't seen it before. I don't know why. He's a prolific writer.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is worked on his work and what he wrote and shared. So dedicated to him. I'm looking forward to find out how the experiment works, and if I get fired at the end of the semester.
They can't get rid of you. I've done that similar bit with the show me that you know it on stuff that is really, really, you know, content oriented, real big stuff. So like we do in third and fourth. Oh, my door's locked. Hold on.
We're doing great live YouTube this week.
In third and fourth marking period, we're doing, you know, Odyssey, we're doing Greek mythology and Shakespeare, and so for our Trojan War assessment, I give them the option to take a test, a ridiculously large multiple choice test that's worth like 140 points, or they can show me what they know based on using any tool that they can. So I'm trying to appeal to both sensibilities, and why doesn't it let me screen share? Toolbar's not working. But when I score them with like the multiple choice test can be any variation of points from 0 to 140. But then when I score them for the show me, there's no teacher directions. They can use anything their little heart desires to figure it out. Open internet, open notebook, and the test is also open notebook. But then how it's scored, they get one of 3 scores: O, S, or U.
Yeah.
The outstanding, 100%. The S, satisfactory, 88. Or 75% with, you know, if they didn't quite execute it as well as I would have liked. So.
I've done something similar where on a chapter test, you know, let's say, I break it down into standards because it's all standards based, right? But so I don't put a percent in the book, but it's broken down. So a test might have 50 questions, and there's 4 standards. So essentially, you're getting an X number out of 4 for that exam, right? So I've started doing open note versions of that are written response, and my rubric is from a 0 to a 4 or a 1 to a 4. You know. Sorry, I should have just like mouthed all kinds of stuff there. So the written one is open notes, open book. It's a lot of synthesis based on what they're doing, and then as I read through it, I can have a conversation with them. They show me what they do know how to do and how to put these things together, and that's why it's open notes, because I don't, you know, recall is one thing, but application is another, and it's so interesting how few people take that option, because the culture is just, you know, let me just wing it out, and it doesn't mean anything, and there's no deeper connection, even though the grading system is the same. So thinking that I'm eliminating that as a variable, they're stuck in that mindset of this is what I do to show my learning, because learning is just what I've memorized so far. And there's no impetus for improvement then because it's done. It's the end of a chapter. And part of that is the design, right? I have to work it in a little bit differently to change the culture. So I'm trying to do that with quizzes, making them a little bit more open-ended like that to check information. But Kate, how many people actually do the show me version?
Very few actually.
Yeah.
They chicken out. Some of my more creative ones that do have a bit more I don't know, self-confidence, or they're just so tired of a test, they'll jump for it and be like, okay, and I've gotten some really, really neat things out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But then the majority of them, and again, I teach freshmen, so they come from this culture in the middle school of following directions and doing exactly what you're told to do and fit into this box. And so I try to change them and mold their mindset differently, but it's a process.
Do you ever triple and quadruple check yourself on whether or not a grade is actually assessing learning and not just compliance? Because I do that all the time.
Oh my God, nonstop. Wrestling with how does this number correlate to learning? And I teach English, so numbers are already horrible for me. That's not a good measure. What's an 85? I don't know. What's a 92? I don't know. Really?
Right.
But let me use some adjectives to describe someone, and then you'll know your merit of your learning.
I've started asking more what, if I'm verbally checking somebody on something, and I'm kind of borderline, I think they know it. I might not be totally convinced, but then I throw the question out: would you give yourself credit? And it's a scary question because a lot of them are like, yes, absolutely, but then a lot of them are also like, well, I don't know.
I'm so looking forward to my students' answers on that.
Yeah, what would you give yourself?
And I've done this for final projects for advanced capstone courses, and they're brutally honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they grade themselves a lot harder.
I do a lot with the peer assessment and the self-evaluation piece, and they're harder on each other than I am on them at times, which is good, neat to see. But so it avoids the whole notion of well, you're my friend, so give me an A.
Right.
And I've done some bit of making it blind evaluations, you don't know who you're assessing or who's assessing you, and I try to vary it and try to get them practicing that skill of evaluation so that it's not just my opinion is what determines their quality of their learning. They become more invested in it. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's good.
Good morning, Miguel.
Hello. Sorry for being late.
You have low internet, but that's fine. It's Kate, Miguel, Kate, Brian, Miguel, Brian. Miguel's one of our professors from campus Puebla.
Nice.
Welcome.
So what are your thoughts on learning culture so far this week, Miguel?
If you can give me a brief summary of what you've been talking today.
But all sorts of random stuff. So I think you've mentioned this in your blog post that it's hard to get students to just learn for learning and not get attached to the exact grades. Well, let me adjust my mic, Kate. So how do you get students just to learn and not learn for the grade?
Well, in my case, it's very difficult not to mention grading because they are always worried about, okay, I'll do it, but if you tell me how much this is going to count for the final or the partial mark. And somehow I always tell them, don't worry about the mark.
Sorry.
All right, Brian. Keep going, Miguel.
And last semester, I got to a point in which a student was very angry because I had put him 90 out of 100. And this is the kind of nerdy guy who wants to have always the perfect mark. And he was not angry because of his 90 he got, but because almost everybody else in the class got 90. And it's always like comparing between them, among them, what do you get? Why did he get that when he's always getting 70 in other courses? And he got on my nerves. So in front of everybody, I told told him, not directly to him, but in some sort of generic way, I said, if somebody wants to have 100 in the paper that your parents are going to receive, just come to my office and I will change the mark and I will put you 100 if that's what is bothering you most this month. But
And nobody arrives.
yes, you should not worry about it. It's not the most important thing. But on the other hand, the same week, another guy came to my office and said, "Oh, I really appreciate all the efforts you are doing to bring us different stuff to really make your points with examples, real-life examples, all the activities that you have done this month. So please keep on doing this kind of work. Don't worry about there will be always people who don't like it." And I found it very, very mature from this student. And it was just the kick I needed to continue doing what I was experimenting. I enrolled in this course because I want to learn from everybody, because maybe I'm a beginner and maybe I'm making some big mistakes in flipping, but I think you never end learning in these kind of things. It's innovation always.
I think it's a
The
continuous
constant-
process. And
Yeah.
I think, how's my voice now, Kate? Better? Yeah, I think my snowball mic is dying, and I'm pissed off because it's very expensive. Well, not that expensive, but I probably drop it too many times.
Well, that's also too like the whole difference between formative and summative learning. You know, it's got a grade, so therefore it's done. Like, no, that understanding of the learning culture, that it's constant and continuous. It's not just, oh, okay, I got my grade, it's over. You know, and being able to also learn from mistakes. For whatever, you know, I see this with my honors kids especially is, oh, okay, well, you know, they have to make sure it's right the very first time. And they don't want to take the time to work through the process and make it better, especially when it comes to writing. You know, they don't want to invest in the time when it's a writing piece. They're like, okay, I got it down the page, I'm done. No. Now let's go back and let's craft it. Let's learn from mistakes. Let's make it better. The revision process. That's with anything with learning.
Yeah, that's something I fight with a lot. Even today, I was telling Ken earlier, I had a lab that just bombed. Like, really bad design on my part. There's good intentions. But, you know, like my notes, and so I've got like all my little notebook notes, and one right down at the bottom, it says, is pushing for the process worth the effort? What lesson does the process teach, right? And so for this lab, I had to decide that the process I had them go through was not helpful for the end goal, so I'm bailing on it. And it kills me because my other third, or my other half, is saying, like, but the process is important, right? It's important to run a bad experiment so you can figure out how to fix it, right? You know, time constraints, there's a lot of stuff playing into that, but it's like I wrestle with it hard because what am I modeling to them if I say this didn't work, so we're just going to do this instead, right?
Right.
Same thing.
It's interesting because I put up Reclaim because Kate talked about that we want students not to just, you know, get the thing in what they need to for the mark. And I got to write more and talk more about this. I tried to talk about this at FlipCon 15 of what I'm doing with open connected courses and my students blogging. And the fact that my students' work from last semester is still there. It's there on their blog. And Maria Fernanda Flores, I linked to her blog posts in our Flip class chat on Monday, that she wrote poetry and short stories to explain programming, and I was just blown away. It was awesome. Even Kate might like her short stories about if and, you know, while loops and, you know, programming constructs. But I think it's really important, and part of the conversation that came up in Flip class chat is that they're investing for a longer term learning, and they care about their work when they're doing it in the open, as opposed to just publishing to, you know, writing for the teacher, and I'm the only one that'll read it, and maybe the teacher doesn't even read it half the time. Right? You get those essays that say, I bet Miss Baker's not really reading this whole thing in the middle of it.
I do that to them. I put my own comments with that on stuff. Like, I'll do a multiple choice test with like different examples, and I'll make one that's really, really long. It looks like it's right, but then I start changing it in the middle, and then by the end I always put some ridiculous sentence like, oh, did you even read this? I don't think you read. You just picked this one because it's the longest response. But I want to go back to the point you make about you know, the publishing piece of it and like putting their stuff out there on a blog, because that's the other piece that contributes to learning culture is how visible is it? Like, where is the community? And I know on the high school level, there's a lot, you know, I know that there's many classrooms that are blogging, but there's a whole group that's not because of the fear of putting the stuff out there, or the, you know, when you open it up, you're vulnerable. And when I don't just mean you as the writer, I mean you as like the classroom or the school. Like, what if someone posts something controversial? You know, it's when you open it up, you are making, you know, everything is more vulnerable with it. And I think that fear makes the learning culture be too restrictive. Because I've tried to blog before, but my kids don't buy into it because of that notion of constriction, and that they don't recognize that greater learning community. They only see the classroom as the immediate community.
Because actually this will come up in Pillar 4 of professional educator, of blogging and sharing and finding out from other people. I know George Koros, we linked his article for this week's assignment, once asked that we should have our students creating personal learning networks like we are. And that should be part of our goal as well. And then that's one step towards doing that, I think.
Yeah, culture needs to be beyond the classroom. And that was such a good conversation Monday night. Holy cow. It was one of the better ones we've had, you know. And it's so frustrating because knowing what you miss out on, or what you're missing out on with your students because of a lack of courage or resources, or, you know, an environment in which you could do those kinds of things. Like, it's frustrating. Yeah.
You got more thoughts, Miguel? Are you still there?
Yeah, I've been just trying to reflect on this about the students' fear of people not liking what they write. And I've been just thinking that maybe Facebook has something to do with this. Everybody's just after the like.
Right.
And even photographers and Instagram and now Twitter, they put the like button. It was before, I don't even remember. Favorites, was it? So now I think that in millennials, this is very, very important for them, that they really post things that are like people. They don't want to put things that are going to be disliked. And I don't know.
And maybe we need to push them that you want to post something that's not just going to get likes, but it's going to drive a conversation. And if you just post something superficial, then you're just going to get likes. If your post has 25 likes and no comments, I'd rather have 2 comments and 2 likes.
Exactly, but I think that this generation, they don't like debating. They just want people to be liking what they just posted. That's fine with them. You see teenagers, how much effort they put in selfies. Maybe they take 50 photos before they post the selfie.
I still don't get it. I mean, I was at a party for my nephew. It was a baptism, and there was this girl. She's just taking massive amounts of photos of herself, and I don't get it. But then later I do get it. So, but that's a whole other conversation.
Maybe. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Kate.
I know. I kind of wonder though, with the social media aspect, like, do they see the like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that like that's a separate realm, like, and then different from the academic side of things? I don't think they're transferring or meshing skills together. They see them as 2 separate entities.
And I think lots of us educators are like that, Kate, where they're creating a Facebook profile for me at school and a Facebook profile for me and we talk about that, and I'm like, but my professional life is just all integrated into my personal life. There's just no separation of me, and I can't deal with multiple personalities. It freaks me out. Yeah,
this is my fun. This is my entertaining time. And today's chat is brought to you again by almond bread and pretzels.
Awesome.
Would you like some?
I'm drinking tea because I've been not so well lately.
Oh.
So I'll advertise Carlota honey. Miguel might recognize it.
Wow.
I see Brian Bennett eating something. What are you eating?
Dry roasted peanuts.
I think this is going to become a weekly thing.
Because I get so hungry during the day and peanuts fill me up. But on that note, I gotta take off.
Okay, I'll let both of you go because I know Kate's got everyone off as well, and maybe I'll let Miguel go
keep
as
talking
well.
though. If you keep talking, I'll turn on the YouTube and listen. But thank you. You guys are
I
awesome.
know we have 3 viewers, and we get more viewers later. People really do appreciate having this recorded, and they do watch it later.
Yeah, I lost my sign. Oh, there we go. Here's my lower third.
Yeah.
But
Very
follow Kate, follow Brian, and follow Miguel as well. They're all active on Twitter, and reach out. Thanks a lot for your time, both of you.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Okay. Bye, Tim.
And we could do the Spanish version of this now. ¿Qué onda, Miguel?
¿Qué onda?
Ya cambiamos a español.
Sí. Muy bien.
Y parece que tienen colegas ahí inscritos. Acaba de pasarme su blog. Ay, ¿quién fue? Estoy viendo ahorita. Live video. David Gutiérrez.
Sí, es un colega de mecánica. Sí.
Ok, porque tengo David Antonio Torres de
También,
Puebla.
sí.
Y también me pasó su liga. Alex Pérez Villaseño.
Sí, también a todos los conozco.
Sí, entonces esos son, y tú también en lo que son los de Puebla. Pues ojalá que empiecen a publicar. Yo creo que lo difícil es mucha gente, a lo mejor lo están siguiendo, pero no me pasaron su liga de blog. Como ese proceso es medio difícil.
Sí,
Tenemos 105 personas en la lista de correo. Tenemos 23 blogs activos, cuales de hecho es excelente, es un buen porcentaje para un MOOC. Y no sé cuántos andan como perdidos y no saben cómo participar. Siempre es un reto.
Sí, es un reto lo del blog. Yo mismo llevaba años grabando videos para YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, y el blog fue un paso, pues, no complicado, pero sí especial. Le tuve que dedicar tiempo. Y las primeras veces me emocioné y quizás escribía un blog por semana. Y después se me olvidó y siento que necesitas un momento. Y este curso es una buena oportunidad de empezar a escribir y tomarlo como un ejercicio semanal o diario. Incluso hay gente como tú.
Sí, hace 3 años intenté casi diario y pues me quemé básicamente. Pero depende cómo escribes. A veces gente ve en un blog post de otra persona y hacen un quote del otro blog post, un reblog, solamente poniendo un pequeño comentario. O blog posts más como micro blog posts. Y hay gente que intenta cada semana escribir sus pensamientos al final de la semana. Entonces, cada uno tiene su estilo de cómo hacerlo. Carolina saying that she can't deal with multiple personalities either. Awesome. Ni llegué a las preguntas. Hubo unas preguntas a Luis Miguel García, pero no llegué a las preguntas de hoy. Pero los voy a mencionar nada más para que la gente esté pensando. Luis Miguel dice, si quiero que mis estudiantes también propongan contenido, ¿cómo le hago para que no se vuelva un caos? Y eso es muy interesante. Y en mi punto de vista, quiero caos. Y el otro es cómo me asegura que ningún estudiante quede sin acceso a mis contenidos fuera de aula. Entonces, eso es una cuestión de accesibilidad. Y hay muchas soluciones. Puedes pasar el video o el contenido en un USB o que puedan bajarlo a su celular. Hay muchas soluciones de accesibilidad o hasta pues un DVD porque cada familia mexicana tiene su tele y más probable tienen un toque de DVD ahí en la casa. Siempre hay manera de hacerlo. Pero no debemos asumir que todos tienen pues unos 8 megas por segundo en su casa. 8 gigas.
Sí, yo creo que también lo que a mí me ha funcionado con los videos para estudiantes, sea cualquier medio, se los pase por USB o por YouTube, es no usar mucho PowerPoint en los videos con muchas palabras, sino que pensar que alguien que lo quiera ver en su teléfono, una pantalla muy pequeña. Entonces, quizás tener algo ahí, lo que sea realmente necesario, y lo demás comentado en video, en voz. Eso lo agradecen mucho los alumnos.
De hecho, alguien mencionó con sus videos, estaba realmente fijando que también funcionaría, como dices, sin tanto detalle en el PowerPoint, de que funcionaría como podcast de audio. Entonces, un alumno que está en el camino, manejando a la escuela, puede escucharlo mientras está en el coche y también absorbe la información. Y eso fue una buena idea y lo voy a pensar un poco más de asegurar que solamente escuchando sí tiene contenido.
Es lo que estoy usando, algo que yo llamo flipping the meeting. Soy director de departamento aquí, tengo en el departamento más de 50 profesores, y hacerlos venir a todos a una hora, a una reunión, un meeting informativo, se me hace una pérdida de tiempo, porque algunos tienen que emplear más de una hora de conducir para llegar, media hora o una hora de reunión y luego otra hora de regreso. Es una pérdida de tiempo muy grande. Entonces supongo que todo mundo, porque es mi experiencia, yo conduzco 40 minutos del trabajo a su casa. Digo, lo grabas en un USB, lo pones y vas escuchando todo. Incluso lo puedes hacer como un programa de radio, ¿no? Y en 10, 15 minutos ya está todo, y es muy probable que te escuchen más que si haces el PowerPoint típico y lo mandas. Aquí está el PowerPoint que vimos en la reunión. Nadie lo abre. Nos llegan tantos correos. Es más, el correo yo lo veo algo muy agobiante. Está ahí la lista y no los has leído y te sientes mal que no contestas. En cambio, hay otros métodos como una llamada, como esto que estamos haciendo ahora, como un podcast, que quizás podamos explorar más y sacarle más provecho, ¿no? Porque
y el bueno de eso de Google Hangouts para juntas es que ya está grabado. Y ahorita va a ser grabado públicamente, pero podemos grabarlo y tenerlo guardado como privada para compartir con nuestros colegas que no estuvieron, etcétera. Es un excelente recurso para otros medios, definitivamente. Pues ahí está Alex Pérez publicando en Twitter sobre self-esteem, excelentes puntos que we need to feel accepted beyond discussion. That is why they don't care about replies. Interesting. Tu colega ahí en Puebla.
Sí.
Órale, pues gracias por conectar. Y la verdad, funcionó decentemente, Miguel, con el ancho de banda que tenemos hoy. ¿Cuántos grados andan ahí en Puebla ahorita?
Actualmente 9.
Órale.
Amanecimos como a 3.
Sí, está haciendo frío. A veces llega a 0 aquí en Guadalajara, pero normalmente no dura.
Para los colegas del extranjero, for those ones watching outside Mexico, this is my central heating. I went to Walmart and put a light bulb for those ones from the past, and I have it on, and it warms up my office, and it also works for video illumination.
It's interesting because my colleagues ask me, because I'm from Canada, but Victoria doesn't really get that cold, but I did live in Edmonton for 4 years where it gets down to -40, and they say, what, but you're not cold like in Canada. And I say, well, actually I'm colder here because it gets down to 0 in Guadalajara, and I have tile floors, and there's no central heating in my house. So you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and it's cold. Whereas in Edmonton, it's 20-something degrees in my house all the time because you have heat. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if we have time for a small. Do we still have 1 minute?
Oh, I have time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
I arrived to Mexico 12 years ago. And in September, I was freezing in the mornings, like 5 in the morning. So I went to the Home Depot trying to get one of those heaters, oil heaters, plug-in electrical ones. And the lady at the Home Depot laughed at me and said, come on, those are seasonal products. And I said, okay, but I'm feeling cold. I want to buy one. And I said, probably they will be available by December. And I said, if I don't die before. But then I had 3 years ago, a couple of Swedish students, and they told me, we have never felt so cold in our lives.
Right.
Because it's freezing here in the nights.
Exactly, and you
But-
don't have heat.
No.
But
Right.
we don't. I mean, we have a gorgeous weather system here in Guadalajara. It basically doesn't get that cold, doesn't get that hot, but it's whatever the temperature is outside is what it is inside, pretty much.
Yeah. All right.
Good story. Thank you, Miguel, and I look forward
You're
to
welcome. I hope
keep
to see you soon.
participating and
Yeah, sure.
animate your colleagues in Puebla.
Right.
All right.
Okay. See
Cheers.
you.
Have an
Cheers.
excellent week.
Bye bye.
Thanks.